What's going on, guys? So this video is going to be about lead generation and pipeline fundamentals, okay? So welcome. So this video primarily will be designed to give you an understanding of how the pipelines work, specific to our business, and then as well, how you can drive more leads and how that process works and what that looks like, okay? So basically, you have two main types of leads, okay? You have the level ones, and then you have the level twos is what we call them, okay? So the level twos, let's start with those. Those are the people those are MQLs, okay, which stands for Marketing Qualified Leads, okay? So these two types of leads, so there's two types of leads. Let's write them down. So you have the level ones, level one, and then you have level two, right? Now, each one of these, we're going to label them in real sales terms, which is SQL plus MQL, right? Now, the level twos, these are marketing qualified leads, which means we could be advertising. If you're at the stage where you're running social ads and you're actually advertising and going out there and running paid media spend, then likely you will have lots of MQLs, and those will be the level two types of leads that you drive. And then your goal is obviously to transfer those MQLs to SQLs and convert them to sales, right? So sales qualified leads, and essentially you qualify the lead by asking them the appropriate questions, making sure they're on the right page and making sure they fit the qualification criteria to go from MQL to SQL, right? And so essentially what that means is to go from level two to level one. Level one is ultimately what we want. So for our business, level one is appointments booked on our calendar, right? That's a lead still. It's a level one lead, but we classify it as the most engaged lead. They're an appointment on our calendar. They've booked a demonstration. They're interested. They've probably already had a discovery call. If not, they just scheduled a call either from our advertising efforts, our outreach efforts, our cold calling efforts, our SEO presence, right? There's so many different ways where we generate leads, but the idea is that, doesn't matter where they come from. The whole goal is to drive MQLs and push those to SQLs. So take level twos and turn them to level ones. You might have lots of level twos in your database, right? But you need to be putting those people through the proper nurture sequences and the proper processes. So nurture sequences might be them getting multiple emails over time to warm them up and make sure they understand who you are and what you do and your case studies, and seeing clients that have been successful using your service or your product, right? So really getting nurtured over time. So that infrastructure needs to be in the back end of your database so that all those level twos, all those people that are MQLs, they're effectively becoming SQLs over time because you're heating up your database by showing them what's possible by buying your service, right? Showing them proof of concept, giving them value via the emails, right, that you send out. And so really those are the two types of leads that exist specifically within our business. And when you break it down like that, it becomes very easy, because it's like, my goal is to give as much value and as much resources and giveaways and drive as much content and education and information out to people and capture their details so that they can become MQLs, marketing qualified leads, aka level twos, right? And so the goal of those, and then what we want to do is take those people over time, have the proper infrastructure and nurture sequences and retargeting ads and the things properly there to take those MQLs and those level twos and turn them to level ones, okay? So now, the required prerequisites for lead generation, okay? Number one, first and foremost, is discipline, okay? So when I say discipline, I mean, there's no such thing as someone blasting out 100,000 emails in one day and then just never blasting emails for the rest of the year, right? If you're trying to generate leads, that's not how it works. You need to stay consistent with your approach. So what that means is, having the discipline to work daily on your lead generation. So you could be doing cold calls, you could be doing cold emails, you could be doing, you could be running social ads, you could be doing LinkedIn outreach messages, you could be automating your LinkedIn outreach 100 messages a day. It doesn't really matter what the technique is, and we'll go over some techniques in a second, but it doesn't really matter what the idea, what you're doing. It's, first of all, you need to make sure that is being done every day. There can't be a day that goes by. To think about it like a sink with a faucet, right? You're trying to wash your hands, right? Think about it like this. Every time you wash your hands, you make a sale. Let's make that the analogy, right? So you wash your hands. Once your hands are fully clean, then your sale just occurred. Now, by you turning off the faucet and the water to clean your hands, you're turning off the lead flow, right? You're turning off the lead flow to wash the hands so that you can make a sale. So what I would suggest is keep the faucet on and then wash your hands, right? So that's the same concept, right? You can never turn off the amount of leads and the actions you're doing to bring in the inbound opportunities, right? So the outbound actions you're doing to bring in the inbound opportunities is essentially what lead gen is at its core. Now there is some tactics you can deploy like SEO that are more inbound that will get people to just search, for example, for certain things and then you'll appear on Google, right? That's more of an inbound tactic, but we're not gonna talk too much about that today. We're gonna focus more of our efforts on what's in your control, which is your outbound activity, right? So discipline's required. There can't be a day that goes by that you are not soliciting, that you are not pumping out offers, that you're not running social ads, that you're not, pumping up your Google ads, making sure that people are searching. There has to be a diverse but consistent outflow of messages and offers to be pulling people in. Like, I have to be throwing out my fishing rod into the water in order so that I can reel it in and pull in a fish. There's no pulling in the fish prior to throwing the rod. It just doesn't make sense. So that's the idea. And then the other thing is output, right? So you need to do as much volume as you can, right? So this means like you pay attention to ensuring that you have the most amount of outbound activity as humanly possible, right? So you need to first build those channels of like lead generation, and then you need to amplify those channels by either getting more people to conduct those activities for you on your behalf, or by amplifying your efforts through social ads and paid ad spend and buying more attention, right? So there's multiple ways you can go about it. So output means essentially volume, and discipline essentially means your consistent effort at making sure that you're putting out that volume daily, right? And output, obviously put as much as you can. Get, instead of one guy cold calling for you every single day, 100 times a day, get 2 of them, right? It's just more outflow. It's more outbound activity, right? Now, so that's the thing. So output plus discipline, make sure you have those. Now, diversification of channels, this is huge, right? Because here's the thing. First of all, you have to define where are your customers even sitting, right? Like if you're B2B, likely your customers are sitting in their Gmail inbox, their Outlook inbox. They're likely sitting, in their LinkedIn, right? Their LinkedIn account. They could be sitting somewhere on YouTube searching up solutions in relation to the current B2B problem they need to solve, right? So there's lots of ways you can define where people are. Like you might go to if you're B2B, you might go to an entrepreneur Facebook group and find a list of 4,000 entrepreneurs in this Facebook group that you can easily solicit your offer to, or at least pay someone to consistently solicit your offers to those members of that group, right? And so you just need to diversify your channels. So that could be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. There's strategies for each and every one of those, right? And so let's look at the techniques for a second here, okay? So the red ones with the red dots, those are B2B. And then the green ones with the green dots, those are B2C, right? So I'm not saying one can work and one can't, but I am saying that through our experience and through what we've seen, these are the best channels according to what you serve, to what type of customer you serve. So cold email, that's a no-brainer. You could be sending anywhere between 100 and 1,000 cold emails every single day, targeted at your exact target market. Easily, right? You can hire what's called a data miner, or a person who's in the Philippines, Pakistan, India, where the labor cost is tremendously cheaper. You can hire someone there, and they will be more than happy to, for 8 hours a day, to fill out a large Google sheet of all the different leads that you should be cold email blasting, right? So you can build custom lists of just Google search leads. So I can search up chiropractor Toronto and then have my virtual assistant who's helping me out build a list of all the Google search results that are in Google when someone types in chiropractor Toronto, right? Building that out and putting that on a Google Sheet list. And then I take that list and then I go ahead and send cold emails to that list using a few other softwares. We'll get into the specifics of the lead gen, within TDB, within the rest of the curriculum. But for now, just know that cold email is really good for B2B. Cold calling is obviously really good for B2B as well. You can infiltrate organizations if you have really good salespeople. If you have BDRs, you can actually infiltrate organizations by cold calling them. You can do a targeted account approach or a blanket approach where you have a cold caller cold calling hundreds of people a day. Booking appointments for a guy who's doing the discovery calls And then that person who's doing the discovery calls is qualifying the call for the salesperson, and then that person's closing the deal. So you could set it up like that. So cold call is very good as well. That's also a B2C as well, approach as well. You can sell people on like windows and doors, in their home installation. You can sell people via cold call on like cutting boards and promotional items like sweaters, things like that. So, you can definitely use cold call whether you're B2B or B2C, mostly B2B though. And then paid advertising and sales funnels. So this is like running ads on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, and getting people into a series of landing pages, email marketing sequences, and retargeting ads that get sent to this person that's coming into the funnel, and it spits out appointments or a certain KPI, such as free trials on a software, such as new revenue realized because they purchased your course or whatever it may be, right? And that's what's possible through paid advertising and sales funnels. Primarily, that's a good way to attack B2C customers, so consumers, but it can work for B2B as well. LinkedIn outreach, that's straight B2B, no B2C there. I've never seen it work for any B2C type company. Maybe you'll prove me wrong. Social community prospecting, this is you infiltrating Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, blog roundups, like places where there's lots of members, Web 2.0s, forums, like you can even go to Reddit or Quora, right? Or you can go to like Facebook groups, LinkedIn, whatever's easier for you, and then join these groups and then be a part of the conversation, but also engage with the members, take the conversation off the group and take it into Messenger, where you can actually, maintain a private conversation with that person, which is where you're gonna ask them, get them on a one-to-one level and solicit your offer to them, and then give them your meeting link so they can schedule an appointment with you, right? And so that's social community prospecting. I have guys doing that full-time in the Philippines, social community prospecting every day, full-time, just going through a series of like 50 to 100 Facebook groups and just harvesting clients for us and appointments for us through those sources. Search, so that could be Google ads, you're running AdWords, where people searching on Google, your ad will appear at the top, or it could be Google SEO, so that's more organic, that's the process of, really helping your SEO to boost up your rankings so that when people search for, let's just say, Toronto marketing agency, variance marketing is number one, right? So that we can get that click, we can get that lead, and then we build that authority, and then we close the sale, right? And so that's done through search, and so that's B2C and B2B. You can really kill it in search. It's the reason why I love search as a lead gen tool is because these people are pre-qualified. They already know what they want. They are searching for what you offer, you just happen to offer it. You just happen to be on the first page of Google. They're searching for a Toronto marketing agency. They're looking to buy from an agency. You just happen to be an agency and you have good SEO, so you get the click and you get the sale. It's not like a needle in a haystack when you're running social ads or cold calling where you call 100 people and you come out with 5-6 appointments, right? It's a much smaller success rate than SEO, right? So SEO might have a smaller amount of leads, but each lead that comes in is extremely qualified. So now Referral Partners is a huge channel too for B2B. If I'm an agency, right, and let's just say, I help people with marketing. Theoretically, I could make partnerships with web design agencies. Theoretically, I can make partnerships with copywriting agencies. Theoretically, I can make partnerships with law firms. I can make partnerships with accountants. I can make partnerships with anyone who deals with business owners, right? Because my target audience is business owners, so I work with, SMB companies. I help them, I bring enterprise marketing strategies to the SMB, to the small and medium-sized business that can benefit from these strategies at a micro scale. And so that's what we do. And so establishing referral partners like law firms, accountants, places where they also deal with tons of business owners. They serve that same customer just in a different way, right? So we can obviously work out some barter deal where it's like, hey, you send me a client, I'll give you some kickback, or I'll do my accountant's SEO so that he can start referring me clients. Whatever the deal may be, just work out custom referral partnerships with people in your niche. They could be local in your community. They could be, in these different meetups, Better Business Bureau or something like that. These different meetups, they have them, weekly meetups and stuff. I don't really do any of that stuff, but I know a lot of people that do that are deriving benefit from it. So you can join those groups and have those referral meetups that they have. Or you can find someone online and do that transaction online, build that relationship online, do video calls, build your referral partnership, but build as many referral partnerships as possible. Because the beauty about referral partnerships is that if I'm an SEO agency and I'm looking to work with more clients, I could easily send cold emails just to web design agencies, right? not to consumers trying to sell them on SEO, but rather just to my referral partners, which are my web design agencies, right? And then if I even land one deal with a web design agency, the beauty about it is that I'm now that web design agency's SEO provider, right? So any future client that web design agency may have, and he's going to have lots because, everyone's in business, everyone's doing well, right? So he might have lots of clients. I'm now going to become the SEO provider for each and every one of his clients. So that's why a referral partnership is really key, right? If I'm an immigration consultant, for example, right? I'd like to have a referral partner that's in the country that I'm basically getting, my immigrants from. Right? Or, that'd be great to have another consultant, immigration consultant that's, let's just say, in Shanghai, and I'm in, let's just say, Toronto, and I'm dealing with my Shanghai referral partner, and he's sending me lots of immigration clients, right? So that could be another one, right? So there's so many different ways to establish referral partners, and you can do it B2B and B2C, but it's mostly B2B. Posting content's great. That's how you build, really good testimonials, credibility. You build, you really eliminate the trust barrier with your prospects. You give them valuable content, so they've already consumed a piece of content, and then they've decided, hey, this makes sense for me to invest in something that's actually going to help me, right? And so that's a prime example of posting content and making sure that your organic content on YouTube that you're putting out, the organic content you're putting out on Instagram, Facebook, right? All these different channels is actually delivering value to your prospects in a way where they feel, hey, I need to somehow learn more about what this guy offers, right? So they go to a different stage in their buyer process, right? In their consumer journey, right? Now, here's the thing. Once you've set up a few of these, and in the TDB course, we'll go over every single one of them and more. There's lots more that are not on this list, but we'll go through multiple different techniques. Now, here's the thing. Once you implement a diverse array of these different channels, right? So it could be you implement cold email, you implement cold call, and you implement LinkedIn outreach, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter what you implement. The idea is that if you implement them, make sure you diversify the channels, pick a few and implement all of them at the same time and have a healthy portfolio of different inbound lead gen opportunities, right? But then once you set them up and you've actually established systems for your new lead generation activities, what you got to do now is you got to amplify those efforts, right? So how can you amplify those efforts even more, right? So how you can amplify them is you actually can go to this website. There's actually a website, there's multiple websites where you can hire free talent online, the virtual assistants. And so what you want to do is get low-cost virtual assistants working for like $200, $300 a month, full-time 40-hour weeks, to amplify, for example, the LinkedIn outreach efforts that you're doing, the social community prospecting. They're going into different Facebook groups and harvesting leads and getting you appointments. The cold calling, you can get that at offload. You can get 5 people cold calling, 100 calls a day, 200 calls a day each. You can get cold email done by these people, right? So you can get a lot like cold email strategy for the referral partners. You can actually have them, edit your content, make sure you can literally anything you want can be solved with these with help of a team. Because there's no such thing as an entrepreneur that's built a multi-billion-dollar empire by himself, or any kind of business is never built with one person. It's always a team. It's always a really, really cohesive team of people that work well together, but also provide mutually exclusive skill sets and value, so that they all gain from each other and they all push towards this one direction and this one goal of ultimately growing and becoming this successful body and this successful entity, right? And so that's what it is, right? So you can amplify those efforts with more virtual assistants at a very low, by hiring a low cost team. So you hire these virtual assistants, extremely low cost, start with 1, start with 2, move your way up. And I'll show you in one of the videos in this curriculum how you can actually build that team in detail. So I'm gonna go through a deep dive on how to actually go ahead and build that team, no problem, with very, very minimal spend. And then, so now the other thing is, the more people that are aware of your offer, the more units of that offer you will actually sell, right? So that ties into the output versus discipline thing. It's like, if you don't have the discipline to consistently do this every single day and never miss a day, right? Don't turn the faucet off, right? You're consistently doing that, and you're putting out good volume counts, right? The amount of sales that you will make, I promise you, will definitely be anywhere between 5 and 10x what you're currently doing, if you're consistent enough and if you have the right message and offer that you're pumping out, right? If you're amplifying your efforts in a way, you're amplifying your offer and your message every single day with as much volume as you can, I promise you that your pipeline is going to start to fill up And when that pipeline fills up, that's when you start to see more calls coming in, more leads coming in, more sales opportunities being presented, more people saying no to you. Don't worry, every 10 people that say no, 2 or 1 person will say yes. So it's all about cycling people through your pipeline, right? The whole goal is to push as many people as possible through a pipeline, and then you will spit out sales on the other end. That's just how it works. So really, we need to make as many people aware of our offer, right? And what we do. How can we do that? By doing more outbound activities, right? That's the only thing that's in our control. And split testing our offer and making sure our offer is good. Those are the only 2 things in our control. So making more people aware of our offer will drive more inbound sales opportunities, will drive more meaningful conversations, will drive more actual sales activity and fill up your pipeline so that you can close more deals. Because if you had, let's say, 5 deals in your pipeline, right? 5 deals in your sales, your sales tracker, let's call it, right? If you're banking on those 5 deals to close, you're wishful and you're hopeful, right? Whereas if you had, let's just say, 100 deals in your pipeline, you're not necessarily caring about 5, 10. There's too many going on. You have to actually expand your team. You might have a few salespeople, and you're all focusing on 20, 30, 40 deals at a time, right? And you don't care if one closes over the other. You just care about processing the deals, just keeping them coming. Let's pump these out through our pipeline. Let's get as many of these as possible through our pipeline, because naturally what's going to happen is 10 to 20 to 30% of people will just buy. They just will buy, regardless of how good your sales is, regardless of how bad your system is. If you just flood people with offers and you bring them to a system, it could be a very archaic and terribly built system. It doesn't matter. You bring people consistently through your pipeline, booking calls with you, you will drive sales. It just will happen if done properly and if done consistently, right? Now, sell people what they want, but give them what they need. That's the biggest thing. So when you position your offer and when you solicit that out and when you pump your offer out there, position it in a way where it's okay, whatever they want, right? So a lot of these agencies and companies out there, they'll sell you on what they do. For example, if I'm an IT professional, I'll sell you on server backup or VoIP phones, or if I'm an SEO agency, I'll sell you on link building or content. Or if I'm a web design agency, I'll sell you on a website or a web app or a mobile app, right? So people sell methods. The market around you, no matter what niche you're in, always sells methods, okay? What you need to sell is outcomes, okay? So what that means, if I'm a real estate agent, I'm not selling, here's, this house, for example, this is what you're gonna buy and whatnot. I'm selling outcomes. So I'm talking about, okay, now that you have this house, what's happened? Your kids are going to a school that's close by. It's a private school. It's right around the corner. It's fantastic. Now you're also able to drive to and from, the subway's right there, so you're able to get to and from work because you work on Bay Street, whatever it is, right? Paint what the outcome is, right, for the prospect. And so that's what you need to do. You need to sell people what they want, but give them what they need, right? What they want is the outcome. So in your message, right? In your message that you're soliciting out there every single day, whether it's through ads, whether it's through cold calls, whether it's through emails, whether it's through social community prospecting and Facebook groups, referral partners, doesn't matter. Whatever amplifications you're putting out there, you need to configure that offer in a way where it's going to exactly hit what the prospect wants, what the target market wants, which is either more sales, or if you're an accountant, they want to save on taxes, or if you're it doesn't really matter. If you're a dentist, they might want better teeth, so they might want veneers, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter what that is. You need to sell people on what they want, give them what they need. So the veneers in the dentist example, you wouldn't be selling someone veneers, you'd be selling someone a beautiful smile that will lead to a better romantic relationship in their life, with better family relationships, a more confident smile that's going to lead to more sales in business, right? It's the outcome of the product, not the product itself. Don't sell the product itself. Sell the outcome of using the product. The utility gained from the product or the service is what you're selling, is what you're pumping out there in your offers, right? Don't forget that. That's key, right? Because I don't care that you're doing my SEO, right? But I do care that as a result of doing my SEO, you're going to drive me lots of revenue, because I'm going to get lots of people searching for Toronto Marketing Agency, and they're going to want to inquire about my marketing services, right? So that's how it needs to work. It needs to work where it's all about outcomes, not about the methods, okay? Now, here's a basic understanding of the pipeline, okay? So really, like I said, the more people aware of your offer, the more units of that offer you will actually sell, right? Or will actually be sold. So Really what we need to do is use all these channels and more, and there's lots more, trust me. All these techniques, we want to use these techniques to pump out and solicit our offers as much as we can so that we can drive people through a pipeline, okay? And they go through this pipeline. The pipeline is more wider in the beginning, but it becomes narrower as it gets in. The reason being is because you're losing people. There's drop off, right? So there might be, for example, let's just say like 1,000 people that come in initially, right? You might bring in 1,000 people by cold calling. You might bring in 1,000. You might be doing so many outflows, and you're doing ads, you're doing outreach, you're doing cold emails, you're doing everything you can to bring people into this funnel in the system. So let's just say you bring 1,000 people in, right? Of the 1,000 people, and that's the awareness stage, right? So awareness, consideration, and action. ACA. That is exactly how funnels work. That's a funnel fundamental and a pipeline fundamental. So how it works is in order to print cash, which is the ultimate goal, which is drive more sales, you need to push as many people as possible through the system. Now, this category here, right? The awareness category. This needs to be all about making people aware of what you're doing. So it could be amplifying offers if you're cold calling, soliciting LinkedIn messages with the exact offer you're pumping out. I help people get leads in 30 days or less, or your money back, right? That's a great offer. Or I'll help you save in taxes by 20 to 30% within your first quarter of working with me, or your money back. Whatever your offer is, the idea is you need to pump that offer out as much as you can through ads, through outreach, through cold calling, and get people into this system so that they're aware of the offer, right? In the awareness stage. Once they're aware of the offer, we need to transfer them to the consideration stage, right? And so the consideration stage is where they're starting to say, you know what, I just got this offer. I clicked on the link. I'm looking at the landing page. I'm seeing people who are getting benefit from this. I might actually book a call, and then that's when they're starting to consider it. You might actually book a discovery call with them. You might have a meaningful conversation with them at this point. But in order to push them to the action stage, you need to drive a demo, like an actual 1-hour appointment minimum on the calendar or in person, depends on your business and what kind of customer you serve. But the idea is to drive people from an aware state to a consideration state where they're starting to get into this decision-making mode. You need to actually be like offering people free value content. Here's like a freebie. Here's like a free training or a giveaway or something, and that's going to make people aware of the strategy, right? So for example, this course that I'm putting together for you for free, that's making people aware of TDB, right? Because that's the offer at the end of the day. And so I'm making people aware by offering free value, and 1,000 people might go through this content right now. 1,000 people might go through this content, and then of the 1,000 people, maybe 100 of them will actually end up saying, you know what, this makes sense for me. Right? And then of the 100 that are in the consideration stage, maybe only 30 will actually pull the trigger and buy, right? And take action, right? But you have to understand there's drop off at every stage of the funnel, right? And so it's very important that your pipeline you understand the strategic direction of your pipeline and the mindset required to have a healthy pipeline, which is as follows. It's all about consistent and it's all about consistent conversations. If you can have hundreds, if not thousands of conversations on a daily basis, I promise you, you're going to be making lots of money. So all you need to do is kickstart your conversations. How can I kickstart conversations? I'm going to pump out offers. I'm going to pump out messages saying, hey, let's get a call booked. Let's get a call booked. Let's get a call booked. Let's get a call booked, right? Or my ads saying, download this guide. And then in the consideration, those ads would say, now that you download this guide, check out what we did for Sally. We got her like, $100,000, in her first 90 days of working with us. Check out this case study. Now they might be seeing videos about that, and that's the ads they're seeing. After those videos, they might we might try to get them to take action from the consideration stage by saying, here's a limited time discount. Here's some scarcity. Here's some time sensitivity. Here's some things to act upon right now. You have 2 days to act upon this. There's only 2 spots left, which is a scarce thing. There's only 2 units left to be sold, right? And so that's what you do in the action stage. So I'm basically telling you what to do, like what kind of offers to pump out for ACA, which is awareness, consideration, action, what to do in those different stages, right? You can see how the pipeline changes based on the customer journey. You're not going to cold call someone and expect them to buy something from you for $10,000 right out the gate off the cold call. I mean, it could happen. I've seen it happen. We have some pretty good salespeople in our office that have done some pretty cool stuff. But in reality, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is, you're going to make them aware of the offer. You're going to likely have to go ahead and book a discovery call with them, which is a 15 to 20 minute call. You book that call. You talk about, hey, this is what we offer. This is what we do. That might translate into, them being interested or them dropping off and saying, you know what, this isn't for me. But if it is for them, you're going to go ahead and book your demonstration call. And then that's when the sales guy is going to come come in. He's going to go through the entire demonstration about the offer, the pricing, how it all works, etc., what to expect, and then he's going to close the deal on the spot. And he either closes the deal on the spot or it goes to follow-up stage where you now need to follow up consistently to go ahead and close the deal. And so that's the idea. It's the same thing. It's the same funnel, right? It's all about driving people from the awareness stage to the consideration stage, taking people from the consideration stage to the action stage. Now, don't be afraid of no's, okay? Because remember, there was 1,000 people that came in here, but only 30 people ended up buying, right? So what does that mean? That means that there was 970 no's, right? So 1,000 people came in, and only 30 came out as clients. That leaves, 970 people that said no, right? Do not be afraid of no's. No's are what bring yeses. Drive as many no's as humanly possible throughout your pipeline. Drive as many people in here as possible so that you can get as many no's as possible so that all these people can drop off at every stage so that only the 30 will pay you, right? Do that daily and you will make lots of money. And that's the fundamentals of lead generation and pipelines. And so when it comes down to it, you should deploy these tactics. Keep in mind, we are going to go through these techniques in detail. And then as well, if you have any questions or concerns, just leave a comment below and I'll get those addressed. Thanks for watching.